The next super global we are going to be discussing is called files. So on the right hand side, _files. There we go. And what it does, if we scroll down to the description, an associative array of items uploaded to the current script via the HTTP post method. And if we scroll down, obviously the super global we know about is then we don't have to globalize it. Another thing we're going to be using during this lesson is this move uploaded files function. So if we open this one in a new tab, and what I'm going to do before we actually use this function, let's first go to our editor and try to see what this files super global returns. So echo, we start with the pre. Then we go to print R and we use this file super global. There we go. And then we simply echo with the closing pre tag. Obviously these pre tags, if you are not familiar with HTML, once again, these are only for the formatting purposes. Without them, it would be just one line, basically array displayed as one line. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to close this PHP tag for the moment, and I'm going to create a simple HTML form. And the method, because it uses HTTP post request, we need to use post. Now, what I'm going to do, we need to do another thing with this form tag, but before we do, I wanted to show you something. Input, and then we have a type of this input will be file, because this is the one which is actually working with this files super global. And then we have name, let's give it an avatar, for instance, as if we were using this with our website when you can actually upload your avatar. And then a simple input for submitting, so type submit, our button, value, simply upload this time. So if we now save it and preview everything in a browser, so we go to the PHP course, there we go, simple for a simple form. Obviously above this is the basically whatever our files currently contains. It's an array, we know about this obviously, but it's empty at the moment. Now file, obviously input type is giving us this browse button, so if we click on that, we can select the image. If we select one of the image that I have on my desktop, and if we click on the open button, obviously to attach this file, you can see the name of the file being displayed next to this browse button. Depending on what sort of browser you are using, the interface for the file input might be slightly different, but you always should see the name of the file once you've attached it. Now, in order to send it to the server, in order to submit our form, we obviously need to click on this upload button. When I click on this button, however, if let's just do it, you can see obviously the file is now, if input is now empty, but our files array still is empty, doesn't show anything. So if we go back to our editor, the reason why this is because form, whenever you are using file type of the input, you have to add another attribute to the form tag called enctype, which is encoding type, and it needs to be multipart / form data, so that server knows that it's not just a plain text that we are sending, there's something different with this, some different data type. And now if we do exactly the same as we've done before, if we go to the browser, select, before I do this, actually I need to reload the page, because obviously we've added this attribute to the form tag. So if we now browse for the file and now upload, there we go. This is where our files actually get some values, fetches some values from this request. So what we get is the name of our input tag, which is the avatar obviously, and then we have associative array of different values representing this specific file. So first of all, the first index is name, which is the original name of the file. Then we have the type, which is the MIME type of this file. MIME types are the values basically represented by two strings separated by the /. In our case, this is an image of the JPEG format. Then we have temporary name, because what happens when you hit on this upload button, the file which you've selected is first uploaded to the temporary location, and it only lasts for very short period of time, a few seconds basically, before it's automatically deleted. And it's deleted when a script doesn't do anything with this file, basically, as we just did. We simply uploaded this, but we haven't done anything with this file. We didn't move this file anywhere or basically interact with it. So we've got this temporary name, and as you can see, the temporary location for uploads in my case is applications, mump, temp, TMP, PHP, and obviously the temporary file name as well is appended to it. Then we have the error code, basically. In our case is 0, which means everything has been submitted fine. And then we have a size of the file in bytes. So that's basically what we get from this files superglobal. But now that we have this files superglobal, what use is it of if we can only display the information about the files? And this is where this move uploaded file function comes into place. Basically, we have move. What it does, it moves an uploaded file to a new location, and it returns Boolean, which is basically true or false depending on whether it basically moved the file successfully. And then we have the first argument, which is the string, which is the file name which we are trying to move, and then another one which is also the string, which is the destination to which we are trying to move it. And then it says this function checks to ensure whether the file designated by file name argument, as you can see, is a valid upload file, meaning that it was uploaded via PHP's HTTP post upload mechanism, which is basically what we just did using this form. If the file is valid, it will be moved to the file name given by destination, which is our second argument. If we now scroll down a little bit, obviously parameters, the file name of the uploaded file and the destination of the moved file, then it returns true on success. If file name is not a valid upload file, then no action will occur and move uploaded file will return false. If file name is a valid upload file but cannot be moved for some reason, no action will occur and moved uploaded file will return false. Additionally, a warning will be issued. Then we have an example and some notes. The warning is a pretty important one. If the destination file already exists, it will be overwritten. Therefore, very often when you're dealing with the uploading of any files basically to the server, you first check whether the file exists or not, and you probably would rename the file in some way or just generate new file name for every uploaded file. But that's something for a completely different course, basically. Let's go back to our editor. And if we're now going to try and move our file somewhere using this move uploaded file function, so simply move uploaded file, and I'm going to put it on two arguments on two separate lines. I'm going to use underscore files, and then we go for the name of the input, which was avatar in lowercase, avatar, there we go. And the index I'm interested in is going to be tmp underscore name. This is the temporary name of the file. So whenever we basically uploading the file, this is the location, the precise location with the file name where the file is basically accessible. And then the next one will be basically the destination. So I want to upload it to dir, which is the current directory. If I open the file browser on the left, our course here, I'm going to create a new directory and call it, say, uploads. There we go. So we've got this uploads directory here now. And now I want to obviously concatenate, because dir will get me just to this PHP course. Now I want to obviously point to this uploads directory. So either / if you are on Mac or Linux, or / obviously on Windows, or you can also use obviously the directory separator, which will automatically figure out which directory separator to use. And then we're gonna go concatenate this with the folder name, which is uploads, and then concatenate it with directory separator again. And what's after this is simply files, and again avatar, and we want the original name of the file, so the name index. And that's all we need to do. If we now save all this, preview everything in the browser, as you can see, obviously we've used this tmp name, which is where the file has been originally uploaded, and then the original name index, basically name of this file, so we get the actual name of the file which we've been uploading. So if I now reload rather than refresh the page, reload the page, as you can see, we get this undefined index, avatar, and so on. And this is because we are actually calling this specific method without first checking if if this request has been actually submitted. Obviously, at this given time here, if we just load the page, this function is executed, and obviously it looks for the files and the specific index with this index, and obviously that doesn't exist. That's why it throws the error. So probably the best thing to do would be if we simply check if files isn't empty. So we're just going to check if files and wrap everything within the curly brackets after this. So we've got if statement, then the condition, and then starting with the opening curly bracket, everything that we want to put out when the condition returns true, and then close the curly bracket after that. If we now save it and preview everything in browser, I can now refresh it. As you can see, we don't see anything apart from the form. So now I'm going to select the image again, now open, and now let's hit upload. There we go. So basically the line which is printing are our files. SuperGlobal returned all this information about the file which we've uploaded, and if we go back to our editor, you can see the file has now been moved after being uploaded to the temporary location. It has been moved. We're using this move uploaded file to the designated directory, which we've obviously defined with this as a second argument here. So that's how you're basically handling file uploads. Obviously, in a real life scenario, you would do many checks as well to make sure that the file has specific extension that is of a certain type and that sort of things. Obviously, you don't want to allow anyone to use this function as we just did without doing any checks. Because all sorts of malicious files could be uploaded to your server and obviously do a lot of damage because of this. So that's pretty much our files. SuperGlobal. Let's move to the next video.